Okay, my loves. I know there are a lot of you that are out there that are really wondering, how do I even set boundaries anymore? Maybe you didn't grow up with great boundaries. Maybe boundaries weren't really modeled well for you, or maybe you were told that you cannot have boundaries. Maybe you're tired of being gaslighted in your relationships, and you're tired of feeling crazy all the time and guilty for trying to make a difference in your life. If this is you, then I want you to come schedule a call with me. Let's chat about the Unashamed Image Program. The Unashamed Image Program is geared towards you specifically. I am going to be helping you in our next upcoming session of the Unashamed Image. I am personally going to train you how to not feel crazy when someone is gaslighting you, how to be able to stand your ground, to keep your boundaries intact, and to also see through the bull crap. I am also going to be teaching you how to set really confident boundaries that you can really rely on. And I'm going to help you communicate them in a way that really makes sense. Basically, I'm going to help you live a life free of shame and on your terms. If you are ready and you are done feeling all the shame and guilt for trying to set boundaries, if you are not willing to live another moment the way you are right now and in somebody else's shadow, then this is the time to schedule that call with me. It's completely free, no pressure, just love, just support. Go to www.erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. Scroll down the page to where it says, Let's Chat About Working Together. Click on that button and it'll take you to my booking page. If you're ready to live the unashamed life, schedule that call. Let's get you in the Unashamed Image Program, my loves. From my heart to your heart. Bye. Welcome to the other side of the struggle. This is a podcast where we talk about trauma, how to heal it, and then how to take it and use it to unlock your mission and your potential, and to use it to live your very best dream life. When you're dealing with betrayal trauma, it can be hard to know how to heal it, how to stop the pain, and to know what your next steps are to take in your own life. And these are the questions that we try to answer here. Trauma has the ability to rob us of our joy and identity, which is why it's so miserable to experience. But with the right tools and with the right mindset, we can totally reclaim that joy and even use this trauma to strengthen ourselves, so that way trauma does not knock us off of our joy again. Living your dream life should be a non-negotiable, but trauma tends to try to negotiate that with you. And even though trauma is not something that we will completely ever be free of in our life, the pain is negotiable. This is why I created Erin Anderson Betrayal Trauma Coaching and this podcast, is because I want my listeners, I want my clients to live, truly live free from the prison that trauma can put you in. I want you to live on the other side of the struggle. Okay, I want you to stop what you're doing right now for just a minute, and I really want you to hear me out. I want you to go right now to erinanderson.kartra.com/page/heart of gold. There you are going to find a free meditation just for you from me
This meditation is amazing. Let me tell you a little bit about what it's going to give you. Okay? Number one, it's going to help boost your confidence. If you are dealing with trauma, then you are most likely dealing with a confidence issue as well. And it's something that you are really, really wanting back. Number two, it is going to help you find security in your situations in your life because it's going to help you gain a sense of self-love and some self-trust. The third thing this is going to give you is an ability to escape the trauma that you're experiencing right now, this very minute, and help you find peace and joy and love and a deep appreciation for you and your experiences. This is going to really help you reconnect with yourself. So, that is very, very, very important when you are dealing with healing from trauma. So, again, I'm going to tell you what that website is that you need to go to. erinanderson.kartra, KARTRA.com/page/heart of gold. Capital HEARTOF, capital GOLD. Go check out this meditation. Please claim it for yourself because it is 100% a gift from me to you to help you heal right now from trauma. All my love.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of the Struggle. Okay, you guys, I gotta tell you, I'm really excited about today's discussion. We have with us Pam Shmidt, and she and I have gotten to know each other a little bit through a common friend, Bronwyn Olschlager. And you guys, if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you know who Bronwyn is. She's been a guest speaker before on the podcast. And Pam is fantastic when it comes to reducing toxins. Now, here's the deal. A lot of you are in here listening to this podcast and you're like, well, okay, but I'm here to know like how to heal trauma and like all these things. And like, that's totally still what we're leaning into today, because the thing of the matter is there's so many different toxins that are in our life that can actually cause us to have a deeper emotional reaction to a circumstance or a physical, whatever it is that's happening in our lives. And sometimes we're just not super aware of those things that's actually here. And so this is one of the reasons why I've asked to have Pam come onto the podcast and onto the show to help you guys kind of hear, like, what are some things you can actually do on a physical level to start reducing your toxins and to also help reduce some of your trauma. And so without further ado, I definitely want to welcome Pam onto the show. Tell us a little bit about you, Pam.
Hi there. I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Erin, for letting me be here today. I live in California, crazy California. And my husband and I have been married over 40 years, and we have 2 adult kids and their spouses. And I became grandma for the first time in November of 2022. And she's a fun little one. And so that's my delight. I'm a retired school teacher and spent the last 20 years of my career in kindergarten. And so I tend to talk like a kindergarten teacher.
It's okay. I've been teaching for 18 years. Most of it's online. So I totally understand like the whole teacher voice. Like, I got it. Yeah, we're good.
When people identify you in the grocery store, it's kind of bad. Not because you must be a teacher. Anyway, on to the rest of where I'm coming from. My husband had tuberculosis over 30 years ago, and
Wow.
it was a particularly deadly strain. And so they treated him with chemo strength medicine. Well, you know how chemo goes. It
Oh my
leaves its
gosh.
own impact on your life, right?
Yeah.
And so his stamina never returned to what it was before. His immune system and all of that is different. And, you know, he has a chemically induced lupus now. So he immediately had to retire from police work, and he's been retired for many years. So now I get to be retired with him.
Oh, yay. Well, that's good.
But that kind of drove where my my desire came from in terms of wanting to reduce toxins. He needed help. His body didn't respond to medications and life like everybody else's. And so I kind of had to be the detective and figure things out. And so, you know, it started with home treatments and, you know, vinegar on the floor and, you know, cleaning the floor and all of that. And it just grew from there. And over time, you know, I'm a teacher. So if I found out something new, for me, a new treatment that was natural and helped avoid some chemical like medications, I would share it with my friends and they'd try it. And so it became kind of a lunchroom thing. You know, they jokingly called me Dr. Pam, but I'm not a doctor. And, you know, over time, I just started enjoying that research. And then, you know, in my lifetime, the internet has gone from babyhood to, you know, the world. And so once I started having that at my access, it was even easier than just going to the, you know, bookshelves and trying to find a book and hoping it was, you know, what I wanted. And so that kind of just grew over time. So in the last 5 years, particularly, I've been reaching out past the lunchroom and sharing my message with people to hopefully help them get rid of some of these toxins in their lives. Most babies, when they're born, there's over 200 chemicals found in the umbilical cord. How do you start life with that? And so, you know, we cannot change that for those that have been born now, but if every mom can pull back on some of those toxins, we're going to cut back on some of those numbers.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am right now. I'm going to let you ask me my next question.
No, I think that's fabulous. Like, what a fantastic, you know, knowledge to have at your disposal. You know, my husband, he's like totally all into like natural health and things like that. And I am so glad he got me into that because that's not what I grew up with, right? I grew up when you go to the doctor knows what to do. You've got to have your immunizations. And then, like, I'm not saying anything against those that do choose to have immunizations and things like that, but it's like, there's so many ways that we can actually, help this toxic load. And one of the things that made a big difference in my own personal life and healing actually from trauma was essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing. Like to this day, I still talk to my clients about a little bit about like essential oils when they're coming to me with some sort of like an emotional load. And it's like, oh, let's have you try this oil. Let's have you actually start to diffuse it and, you know, put that into your environment because it actually does start to shift like some of that toxic load, right?
Yes.
It makes a huge difference. And even now, like if I'm realizing, oh, I want to create this or man, I'm feeling this way or anything like that, you know, I'm like reaching for essential oils, doing some aromatherapy, putting it over my heart, you know, like all kinds of things. I clean with really, really super cleaning, like they're not chemicals, but like, you know, the cleaning solutions and things like that. And, you know, I do love seeing like the benefits that's having on myself and my family as we go on. So, let's kind of chat though for just a little bit about this piece because it is so key in healing from trauma. Like what we do with our environment makes a difference. And so, when we're experiencing like that PTSD,
what is happening to our body on a physical level? Like what can we kind of gauge? If that makes any sense.
Yes. And, when we're in PTSD, you've probably brought it up before, we are living in fight or flight or freeze, and so our body in PTSD is already there. But if you are bringing in things like bleach and some of these toxic, routines, and you're inhaling that, or it's just surrounding you, that's going to antagonize even worse your PTSD.
Yeah.
If you're a person that doesn't think you're living in PTSD, we all have stress, but if you don't think you're living in it, and yet you are doing the heavy bleach, you are getting foods that are so compromised, you might as well be eating styrofoam. Your body is struggling just to do what it's supposed to do without the stress. And so, it's slugging through it. It's going to be putting out hormones, stress hormones, and your body's going to be at that level all the time. And you aren't absorbing nutrition like you need to. Then you're not sleeping like you need to. And that's another hormone problem.
Oh, yeah.
And, you're probably going to not be thinking clearly. So it's going to be bringing relationship troubles. Mm-hmm. It's going to bring foggy thinking so that you're not eating the right things. You might even be, doing risky behavior while you're driving because you're just kind of, slugging through. So, our bodies have a very powerful, it's simple but complicated process that it needs to do. And we've just got to take away some of those nasties just to lighten that load. And then the PTSD is going to lighten up. And I have to add too, I am big into lately looking at how parasites infect our bodies, affect our lives. And parasites do affect our emotions. They love to go for the neurotransmitters and work there. And it's their defense mechanism to throw you into low emotions, depression, anxiety, if they think they're under attack. So, I'm not promoting that you let the parasites live there.
No.
We've got to get them out. And so part of that whole routine is understanding that, yes, you will go through some emotions initially in trying to get rid of parasites, but acknowledge it and don't freak out. Don't make major decisions for those few days, and just ride it out, because it's going to get better as you get the parasites out of your body.
So how do you feel about boundaries? It's a legitimate question. A lot of people come to me really struggling with this concept. They often feel guilty for setting boundaries, or they're not sure about even what a boundary is. They've heard the term, set the boundary, things like that, but that's really confusing for them because it's not something that's well taught in our society nowadays, right? They know that boundaries are really important to having healthy, constructive, supportive, and wonderful relationships, but why? And oftentimes they also know that they feel like their boundaries are being violated, but they can't quite pinpoint what the boundary is that's being violated. That's why I've created the Clarifying and Creating Your Boundaries free PDF. You can find out what your boundaries are, how to tune in to what the boundary needs to be, and how to effectively create and communicate your boundary, so that way you stay in this place that respects you, respects the other person, but also gives you the confidence in your boundaries, so that way you stop being gaslighted, disrespected, and unseen. Having your boundaries really clear gives you a voice, and also helps the other person stay in accountability with themselves, so that's not a role that you have to take on anymore. So if you are ready to really have clear boundaries, to really understand what your role is in the boundary, and to give yourself some safety and some protection against people that might try to gaslight you or are just being disrespectful, go grab my Creating and Clarifying Your Boundary PDF at erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. And while you're there, let's schedule a call with me. Come have a chat with me so that way I can really, really help you master this particular skill, creating boundaries, clarifying the boundary, communicating that boundary, and so that way I can also help you have relationships that show up to support you, cherish you, and love you. Oh, I love that. And you know, the thing is like, there's so many different types of parasites. You know, there's definitely like the physical, like you think about it like a leech, you know, that's a parasite, right?
Right.
That's gonna like suck you of your blood and kind of like that's what it does. Ticks, that's a parasite. You know, there's lots of different kinds of like physical parasites. And so we think about that like that, but these also can, you know, manifest in an emotional, spiritual, and mental realm as well. Like, you know, what are those parasites as well? And like, how do we deal with those? And I think being aware, like you're saying, like just being aware that they're there and that this might not actually be how you normally would act is kind of like a major key, because then it kind of makes us go, oh, okay, so how do I act? How do I actually think? And it gives you like this, you know, a search for truth,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I agree completely.
Yeah.
You know, for me, God, I've always followed God my
Yeah.
whole
Same here. Yeah.
life. And I felt an even greater need for him and a following and a listening to him in the last 3 years and all the world's events. And what I felt like as I got more tuned in to God, heard his messages, that's what kind of led me to this parasite thing. And as I took simple steps in getting some, you know, parasites detoxed, and it takes a long journey, I'm telling you. So it
Oh, it
goes in waves.
does.
So as I took my first steps, I felt like I was able to hear his messages more. It's like he blessed me
Mm.
for taking step one and gave me new realizations about step 2 and 3. And some people would say, well, thanks a lot. What you want and you give me more. But I feel like it truly is one of those blessings where, you know, you take a first step, you see, oh, okay, thank you, Lord. Now I know what's the next step, then the next step. And there are times when all of a sudden a realization hits me and I feel like it's from God. And I use the analogy, it's like you're in a subway and the trains are speeding by and you can't see anything but the blur. And all of a sudden, one window goes boom, and it's like the train stops, and you see that's what I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I get that.
I feel like those kinds of things have happened for me simply by dealing with getting rid of toxins like bleach, like bleached white sugar, like processed foods, and by getting rid of the parasites. So, and I haven't said it, but I have 3 areas in my chemical minimalism in which I focus, and that is home toxins, typically your routines, food toxins, and making better choices, reading labels, starting to know some of those toxic ingredients,
Stuff. Right.
and then the whole thing of helping your body. And right now I'm geeking out on parasites. So
I get it. I get it. Like I've been geeking out lately about like how the brain works with trauma and like how, you know, like boundaries and like I've been geeking out about you gotta just end up geeking out about like things that you preach. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you do. You do.
it
And it
comes to
gets
you
me
for a
so excited.
reason.
Yeah, so no, it's like so exciting. And it's true. It totally does. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I'll be like up walking, and I love walking up by my cemetery, and that's one way to also, you know, lessen a toxic load off of you, right?
Absolutely.
But like I so many times I'm up there just walking, just pondering, and sometimes like often praying, and like just this schwack, right? It's like, oh, like I received that one with my head, right? And it's so awesome because yeah, like this is just you leaning into your mission and your purpose,
Hmm?
you know? And you
Truly.
know those things. You know like when you're doing it because all of these fantastic things come to you. So
Hmm.
love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So so what are some signs that we're experiencing a toxic overload and how does that point us back to our trauma? And like I totally get like, you know, feeling sick and things like that, but like somebody who is dealing with um PTSD, like what is something that maybe they can go, ooh, you know what? This reaction I'm having here, this thought, this way that I'm handling this situation might actually be because of a physical toxic overload, like from parasites or things like that. Like, what are some signs that that might be the case?
As I brought up earlier, that whole feeling that you're running on adrenaline, that fight, flight, or freeze. And
Mm-hmm.
a person in PTSD might not call it that, but you might just notice that you're just jittery all the time. That could be a sign. The feeling that you're going to explode or you do explode irrationally, those kinds of things. The high emotions, the high temperament, that can be a sign that you're in toxic overload. Constant exhaustion can also be another sign that your body just isn't dealing with it. Your liver isn't processing the toxins. It's too plugged up to do its job, or there might be parasites in there. um, there are, I'm not a doctor, but as I've done my geeking out on parasites, there are studies that are tying seizures to parasites in the brain.
Ooh, interesting.
There are other things, and I'm just going to bring these up as studies that I've run across, that even MS, multiple sclerosis, can be brought on or antagonized by parasites. Gallbladder issues can also be, these parasites will go all around the body. They don't just stay in the gut. And so those are things to look at. Other signs, I want to look back at our question of toxic overload. Just simple coughing every time you're done with a cleaning procedure. Look what you do.
Interesting.
Allergies that show up. You're always sneezing. Oh, my dear Sammy, I had a German Shepherd. He's gone now, but I was cleaning the bathroom. I pulled out Mrs. Myers. That's the cleaner, right? Mrs.
Possibly?
Myers. And so
I think something like that.
I
Yeah.
thought it was a very, natural. It said it was natural and all that. But when I sprayed it, the fragrance was so overpowering. And okay, so what? So I sprayed it in the toilet and I was rubbing it all down, and my Sammy the shepherd came to help, and he was just right there at my shoulder, and he would sneeze and cough and sputter and walk across the house and do this thing for 5 minutes. And I started noticing he was doing that every time I used that cleaner. And as natural as that cleaner seemed to be, there was fragrance added, and that fragrance was not natural.
Oh
And
dear.
that can affect the endocrine system. And so, he was doing simple sneezing. I was doing some coughing. But what else was I doing to my body while I inhaled all that fragrance? Something that we need to look at is fragrance in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Fragrance is the big selling point nowadays for laundry products.
Mm-hmm.
For, they advertise that this one will keep the fragrance longer. Those fragrances aren't natural.
No.
They don't
Yeah.
match what our body runs at. And so our bodies get that in, and our body can't process it. That's going to plug up all of our organs. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to cause us the mental fog and all of that, if not allergies, if not longer lasting things like asthma. So we need to be looking at some of these things that are supposed to be part of a good life.
Well,
Perfume.
oh, you actually brought up some things that made me think. Like when I switched my laundry soap, I've been doing, doTERRA's laundry soap for years now. And I I'm gonna totally sound like one of those 1950s like commercials, like here it is, and look at all the benefits, right? But no, it's really true. Like I notice like it cleans better. It actually gets in and makes my colors brighter, and like it does so much more. But the first thing that I recognized as I was using the laundry soap was all my clothes smelled awful. They really smelled so bad. And I at first thought, I was like, well, maybe it's the laundry soap, but actually I think what it was the fragrances that I was using in like the Tide was masking the fact that my clothes were still filthy.
Oh, I know.
Like, and because the more like I ran it kept a few more times, like the laundry through, and all of a sudden like there's no smell.
Yeah.
Like and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
They shouldn't smell super good, and they should not stink. You
No.
know what I mean? And so now that I've been using that soap for years, um, definitely takes care of like the stains. Like I've gotten all kinds of stuff out of my clothes now.
Yes.
But it's off also it's because it's actually doing the actual job of getting rid of the toxin.
Right.
That was even laying in your clothing.
Right.
So, and I will say like using these more natural products has also helped us feel as a family more stable. You know what I mean? Like
It truly
totally.
does. Yeah.
Well, and it's a big piece. It's a really big piece, and it's something
Yes.
I don't talk a lot about because I get really in depth into the mindset of things. But
Mhm.
no, actually looking into what it is you're using in your
Mhm.
day-to-day life
Mhm.
that is causing you to be toxic. Now, like think
Right.
about that word. We talk about toxic people,
Mhm.
right? And like it kind of makes sense that whatever we're exuding emotionally and like spilling onto people, there's a chance that we're also having some sort of a toxic load somewhere else. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
So, what are 3 things that we can do to start lightening our toxic load and help us gain clarity on how to heal from emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical traumas?
One simple thing which I brought up, get rid of bleach. And bleach shows up in a lot of your bathroom and kitchen cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
The grout cleaner and all of that stuff. Get rid of that. There are plenty of other options. My bathroom cleaner of choice sounds like bleach. It's not. Chlorine dioxide. It's not bleach. It's not bleach. And so I get that on my grout, and it takes care of it very well. I clean the toilet bowl with baking soda or
Mm-hmm.
hydrogen peroxide. Both of those have the antibacterial, antifungal properties. You think they're simple little things. They can take care of it and take care of the stink as well.
Yes, they do.
And so get rid of bleach. I would say reduce processed foods as much as possible. And many processed foods will have a lot of refined sugar and a lot of refined flour. Both of those use bleach in the process of turning them pretty and white. And so, be aware of that in processed foods. There's a lot of chemicals like MSG, which
Oh,
also
yeah.
rev your body, and it's addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And so look at those things, just pinpoint a couple of things and start reading labels. I know
Yeah.
it's not fun. Standing in the grocery aisle reading, but if you're going to buy packaged foods, start reading labels. The
Yeah.
more you veer away from the packaged foods and the more you go to that produce and
Section.
meat section, the better off you're going to be. And I'll admit to you, I'm not completely processed food free. I don't live that perfectly. So, but I'm reducing what I can.
Right.
And so that is very important. And then my third thing is seriously consider whether your pesky little 5 symptoms are tied to parasites. It's one of those things where you go to the doctor for your allergies, you go to the doctor for your eczema, you go to the doctor for your emotions. That doctor is not trained to look and go, those are all parasite symptoms. This is something that I invite you to look at. If you want to follow me, I've got just simple quiz, that helps you pinpoint some things, because inevitably we're all getting exposed. 9 out of 10 of us have parasites in America. It's not a third world country issue. In fact, in the third world countries, they take care of it at least twice a year, more often than that. We don't even hear about it here.
Yeah.
So we've got to be doing some things about that.
Yeah.
A simple starting step would be juiced fast, or intermittent fasting, or food grade diatomaceous earth, and you just mix it up and drink it daily. Those are simple steps. I've gone into much more complicated parasite detoxes. My current one, I think I'm in 4 months now, and there's still some to get rid of. So I'm just telling you, this is something that takes determination. I was going to say gumption. That's an old word. Determination. And it does take a spiritual strength to do.
It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. I've done a juice fast before. And I'm actually currently working my way into another one right now, just because I know like the benefits, and like my body thanks me so much. My brain clears up. Like you have so much more energy. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then, when you stick to, everybody might call it the rabbit food, but the thing is like when you start sticking to that kind of a meal plan, you tend to have more energy, you sleep better, less pain, like all of these things. Because I mean, I know like when I'm in a lot of pain, I'm kind of grumpy, and I can definitely think that things are a lot worse than what they are. And so, we just don't really consider like thinking about like what's happening in our physical environments that can actually be really contributing to the PTSD that we're experiencing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like we just don't think about those things. So I love this. Go ahead.
Have to bring up one more thing
go ahead.
that ties into this. Parasites want to be fed what feeds them, what keeps them alive and going. And sugars and toxins feed them. They have a little biofilm, a little protective environment that they live in, and they put out toxins and they depend on toxins. So that's going to fog your thinking. And, the more they want to live, the more they're going to draw you to those sugary, starchy processes foods. So, it's hard when you can't think straight, but you got to start getting rid of those processed things.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And one thing that I want to also mention, because my husband also follows the medical medium, Anthony Williams. Quite considerably. When she's talking about sugar, she's not talking about like fruits and like the sugars you get from fruits and the sugars that you get from like honey and the natural kinds of things. Like those things will actually build your brain's stamina and your brain strength, and actually they help with your neural system and ridding your body of neurotoxins, right? They actually do those things. What she's talking about is like really highly processed cereals, like highly processed, pretty much anything in that white refined sugars,
Absolutely.
So, and then those things, like you can kind of notice, because oftentimes, like I know when I eat like a refined sugar, I can kind of feel it in the back of my throat, and it's a little bit like scratchy and takes me a little bit. It'll also zap you of like feeling refreshed, like you've got, like you're going to get really thirsty when you start eating those. And the reason being is because your body's saying, oh my gosh, you just gave me a like a toxic load. I've got to have water to push it out. And
Right.
so it like those are some big pieces to what she's saying here. So definitely like, being more aware of the things that we're bringing into our body to give us, we call it a word of wisdom for a reason, and wisdom, any way you can get it is actually going to bring you one step closer to your healing journey. So love it, love it, love it. Great, great information. It's super applicable to everything that we're doing here. So one thing about Pam and I is and I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. If I didn't, I'm mentioning it now. But we're chatting at Rejuvenate You. This is an event that's happening March.
7,
oh my gosh.
8, 9.
Thank you. I was going to say 5th and 6th. I was like, no, that's not right. So 7th, 8th, and 9th. Yes, I should probably have that dates up next time I try to talk about it. But anyway, yeah, she and I are actually going to be presenters at this event. It's a 3-day event. And we're going to be talking about like healing from trauma. We're talking about like how to reduce toxic loads. We're talking about literally aligning with your highest, truest self, getting into creation mode, and like literally dropping the PTSD. Like that is what this whole entire event and all of the speakers are going to be discussing. Like super, super valuable in 3 days time. So what do you have for people that are listening today, Pam, and that might be thinking about joining us at the Rejuvenate You?
First of all, I do have tickets. So if you want them, please contact me or contact Erin because we have a discount on them.
Yes.
The price of the tickets does go up at the end of August. They'll still be available, but you want to grab it before the end of August. I have gifts, two PDFs that I'm making available for people who buy my ticket. And so I'll give you the link and you can just check it out instead of me blah blahing about it. But today I have a freebie for everyone who's listening. And this is my PDF called Cleanse Parasite Basics. And so this is going to be a 20 plus page document that talks about things you can use, how parts of your body that are affected by it. And so it's a valuable thing that you can look at. So it's free. Please grab it.
Ooh, I love it. I love it, love it. And for anybody also that decides to come join us at Rejuvenate You and they purchase one of my tickets, not only are you going to get a $25 discount from the from my website, which is coming, guys. It's actually coming. I've been promising it. It is almost done. It's coming. But you guys will get a $25 gift card to any one of the products that are on there as well. And a really fun little piece here is anybody that wants to purchase a ticket with me also gets to come and stay with me at the Airbnb that I will be at. So yes, they get that as well. So that's going to be a very, very fun little piece to things. So check out Pam. Go grab a ticket from her. You can grab a ticket from me. We're going to have plenty of tickets between me and all the different presenters. They do go up the end of August, the first part of September. That is when the prices will be going up. So come grab them now. Links are going to be in the descriptions below. Go grab them. We definitely want you to grab them. So Pam, thanks so much for being on. You have been a fantastic, fantastic speaker, fantastic friend, and I can't wait to get to know you more at Rejuvenate You.
It'll be so fun.
It's going to be awesome.
And same for the people listening. Come, we want to hug and by you.
Yes, we do. Come see us. We're going to be out like mingling. We will mingle. All right, awesome. Well, everybody, I can't wait to see you until next week. And until then, I'll see you on the other side. Bye, everyone. Okay, my loves. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed, like you have lost yourself in the trauma and like you have to control everyone and their decisions all the time. If that is you, then I have a brand new freebie just for you to help you start to organize your life and your time to start reflecting more of what it is you truly want. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard clients and potential clients say that they just wish that they could find themselves again after the trauma, that the trauma is consuming their every thought and that they just cannot move past it, and that they're feeling super, super overwhelmed by life and their responsibilities, and that they just don't have time for themselves anymore. The aim with Organize for Healing is simply to help you simplify, get some answers, figure it out what it is that you truly do want, start gaining the confidence in yourself and your decisions, and discover yourself again, to get clear with who you are, have your own back, and become your own best friend. Because, my loves, when you truly, truly have those things, you are in true healing mode, and in a mode where trauma cannot disrupt you again. So, if you are ready to take some simple actions and simplify your life and to start getting back into play mode and start reclaiming your confidence, your desires, and your life and identity again, go grab my free PDF, Organize for Healing. It is in the link below in the descriptions. Go grab it, and I will see you on the other side. From my heart to your heart. Bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today and listening in on this podcasting episode. Don't forget to tune in next week. It's gonna